Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 244 of the new series of the Cognitive Podcast. Hi there, I'm recording this on Wednesday night, July 30th, 2025 at 8:07 p.m. And your comments are very welcome. You can comment on the blog or you can go to our group on Ravelry. In the warm thanks department, I want to thank TurboGal for loving on my custom-made minifigure. I want to thank the folks signing up for CFR 11. I am very grateful. I just saw Steffi Joes sign up, and she is stating that she's staying in the hotel Friday and Saturday night. So will I be. Please, when you are signing up, let me know. I believe we had Karen sign up. I hope I'm getting that name right. I need to go check and add her to the list. And she is not staying because she's local. But thank you for thinking to even tell me this, for hearing me when I say, please let me know so we can see if we can get the discount rate in the hotel. Meanwhile, thank you, TurboGal, for loving on my custom-made minifigure. I have to say, that did mean a lot to me. And warm thanks to my communities, first of all and foremost in this group of listeners, and second, on the ground in the Santa Clarita Valley, on the ground in the Antelope Valley probably. I hope I still have people up there, but also all my listeners on Reddit and on Finch. And you can see a picture of my two birds celebrating the end of my 99th adventure. They are sitting, that looks to me like it's probably Courage's birdhouse. And they are just enjoying an evening together hugging teddy bears. So I thought I would show you them having a pajama party. In the meantime, let's talk about CFR 11, shall we? The link to the information is right there at the head of the show notes where it says all info is right here in capital letters, and here is the link, the word here. This will take you to the information thread on Ravelry. Yes, I do have a hotel reservation. Yes, we are trying to get 25 people for both Friday and Saturday night. I'm not sure yet about the price because of this, but the date is Saturday, October 11th, 2025, so get that on your calendars. Please be aware that that thread is developing all the time, so do check back often. Also, if you send me a sign up and you're not showing up on that thread, let me know. I want to make sure I get everybody in there. Like I said, I know there's one I haven't added as I record this that I need to go in there and get tomorrow morning. How do you register for CFR 11, Gemma? You send $10 via PayPal to me at GemmaDW, and then you can see the rest of the email address at yahoo.com in the show notes. Gemma has two M's, just saying. GemmaDW, Gemma Dog Walker. No, I never was one, but that's how I would say you can remember it. Your payment is due at the time that you register. It is not refundable as far as I know. It is open for sign up right now. If you want to sign up for CFR 11, now is the time. If you've ever attended, of course, you get automatically in. In other words, if we get more than 50 people, if you've all attended before, congratulations, you're all coming back. We're going to have more than 50 people. But I'm not worrying about that. But we definitely try to favor our previous attendees. I say in the notes, returning people get first dibs in the spaces before August 30th. I'm not worrying about that. But please sign up, and please, when you sign up, let me know if you will be spending the night at our hotel, because I want to see if we can get the discounted price. Meanwhile, what is on my hooks and needles, you must be thinking? Nothing finished this week. In progress, the stash toss remains at 56 in and 28 out, but I bought no new yarn this week. Hooray, hooray. If you look at my list of projects there under In Progress in the show notes, you're going to see that I simply stalled on all the big projects. I'm doing little things. Right now I am crocheting on the alfresco, which is just 2 rectangles joined at the shoulders and the sides. I just want to use it to get this yarn out of the stash. I love the color of this yarn, but it is really too heavy for what I'm using it for, so we'll see how that works. But this is only a simple shell, so we'll see. And then there were the emotional support chickens. Yes, the ESCs. I went through my sock yarn scrap bag and created kits for 4 of them. And you can see the kits there. I made them into tails and tummies. Tummies first. So what I was doing was, when I make these things, I sort of get hung up on the tummies and the tails. I don't like making them. So this time around, I said, here's 4 separate chickens. There's a pink one, roughly, a purple one, a blue one, and a brown one. And I said, I am going to make all the tummies at once. And what happened was I really got comfortable with that pattern. Then I said, let's do the tails. I am so over tails now that they don't bother me at all now. And then I connected all the tail pieces. So you can see 3 of the 4 tails there, the blue, the purple, and the brown. And then you can see half of the pink. Ironically, I finished the pink tail right after I took this picture. And now the pink chicken, as I record this, she is up to her beak. That is, we have the whole body piece and the tummy. So she needs her beak, her comb, and her wattle, and then she needs some sewing and stuffing. So hopefully the pink one will be the next one. I do not have any funny names for chickens lined up. It's getting to be a challenge now that I'm on chicken number 6. So far, I would not call their names all that creative. You should see all the horrible puns they make on the chickens over at the store that originated these. But at any rate, I'm not going to go there. I haven't been back there. I keep thinking I need to go buy another one of the kits and then going, why? I have so much scrap yarn. And I like these things. They go through a lot of scrap yarn, which I have a ton of, and stuffing, which I also have a ton of. So there are the tails for the 4 chickens. I have not really been doing anything on my quilting, and I didn't even finish ironing the 1 remaining piece that I know of. And I do want to tell you that there is a link, thank you Jasmine Knitmore and Gigi Knitmore, and Genevieve Knitmore while we're at it, for the link to the fusible interfacing. These are pre-cut rectangles made to make t-shirt quilts. I'm pleased to hear that Genevieve Knitmore is very into upcycling. And I have to tell you, t-shirts are a simply wonderful thing to upcycle. You can make them into pillows, you can make them into quilts. I was looking at my old knitting bags this week and realized I have 2 lovely knitting bags made by the wonderful Tally, who used to have a booth at the original CFRs. And I looked at these things and I said, they're really beaten up and I'm not using them. Then I said, what's wrong with me? I need to cut them into pieces and make them into pillows because they're really cute. That's upcycling. Don't let it go to waste. Use it at least in the rag bin if you must. But I would say t-shirts and old knitting bags and all that stuff, these are prime materials for pillows. And you can always give a pillow to a charity. Give it to a homeless shelter. They'll take it. Don't just throw it out. Let's not keep throwing things onto the trash heap. And I have to say, too, that makes me sad. Oh, I'm not going to go there. I'll get political. But having said that, let's all try to upcycle where we can. Meanwhile, in Dizzy Blondes, I finally finished plying all the persimmon colored Lisa Souza BFL and the camel hair silk mixes. And I have started skeining it, and then I got stalled there because I started spinning the lovely Lisa Souza BFL in the colorway Gaverny. You can see pictures of the various versions of plied yarns in the persimmon color and the mix with the camel hair silk and the pure camel hair silk. There's a whole bunch of those bobbins sitting there. They're plied. Then below it, you can see the Gaverny. I have to tell you, I am the one who went insane over the Lisa Souza colorway Squash Blossom. Now I'm insane over another one of her colorways. Gaverny is breathtaking. It is beautiful in the braid, but when you start to spin singles, it is so beautiful. It is so pretty. I have 2 braids in heaps on my floor next to the wheel, because I just can't stop spinning it. I'm doing a big handful a day and loving it. Yeah, that's going to be a sweater. Yeah, I'm going to love it. All of this, of course, is on my Electric Eel 6.1, and you can see it there in the photo with the Gaverni sitting on a bobbin. I'm just insanely in love with this thing. On to a strategy. This is a very simple one. This keeps happening to me this week. And the strategy is very simple. Change things up a bit. Okay, if you feel that you are down or depressed or in a rut or you are bored, change things up. The easy example here, of course, is the emotional support chickens. That I was sitting there grinding through chicken after chicken and really enjoying them and yet not. Like saying, oh, I hate doing the tummy, but I'll do it, blah, blah, blah. And bit by bit, I've gotten smarter and smarter about doing the big piece, which is the body. It is huge compared to all the other pieces. And I began to realize that what was happening was I was liking the finished chickens. I was liking finishing them. I liked the hand sewing on them. But I really just was loathing the small pieces, including the tail pieces. And so, I just changed it. I said, I'm going to do the tummy pieces till I have 4 of them, and I feel really comfortable with the pattern. And now I do. It makes really good sense, first of all, as patterns go. And every time I would do one, I would think, oh, yeah, I get that. But this time, doing 4 in a row, it became really easy to do them, and I got very fond of them. And then I went on to the tails, which I really hate the 2 tail pieces that you then sew together. Not anymore. Now I just feel like, yeah, it's a tail, okay, just do it. I really, really started to have fun. So changing up the way I made the chickens really, really helped myself. And of course, and Jasmine Knitmore, I know you're in the background and you're going to start cracking up when I say this. Gigi, don't let her do this. I'm a friend of the family, Gigi. Don't let her make fun of me. But Jasmine was the one who always said you should have a lot of projects going on your Ravelry queue so that you can change things up a bit to refresh yourself, aka my current strategy. Yeah, now I have to admit I don't work well that way. That when I have too many things on the queue, I get paralyzed. And that's a lesson to all of us, I guess, because when you're doing this, when you're changing things up to refresh yourself, don't overdo it. That, for example, in our family, one of our problems, we decide to do a big project, and then we get frozen in the middle of it, and it sits there literally for years sometimes. And this happens with me in my Ravelry queue. I start to do a project, then I leave it there for like 2 years, which I hate, but I do it. So, you can overdo this. You can have too many projects or take on too big a thing. Now, remember my philosophy. I do projects in 15-minute increments most of the time. When I do the chickens, I do one segment of the body at a time. That's the way I work. So I know how I work. However, this doesn't change the fact that you can change things up a little bit to refresh yourself. As a runner, when I've had enough of my typical course, I run a race once a month just to do something different, just to be on the flat, not to be worried about tripping, to be around other people, a medal I don't care about, or to earn a new t-shirt that I do want to get, whatever. You change things up. And of course, it's the middle of the summer. I'm in the middle of my racing season. So my next race, I'm actually going to stay in a hotel in Tehachapi and do the race up there. And again, it just is a refreshing thing. It'll be a new course. I've run it before last summer this time. You just change things up. This is how you keep yourself going when you're bored. And the same is true. The first year I was doing work from home, and I'm working on the internet, which is wonderful. I began to work out of my bedroom. I put a bike desk in there. I put the tablet on the bike desk, and I just sat on the bike and talked to patients and pedaled extremely slowly because the research has shown that is better than sitting still. It was a way to change things up. To my surprise, I hadn't done that for like a year and a half or 2 years, and I got COVID, you may remember, a couple of years ago at Christmas time, and I could not afford to take a week off for COVID. So I got my Paxlovid, and then I went home, and again, I sat in a chair, my lovely rocker, in the bedroom, and saw patients from the rocker for that whole week, which is how I got through it. But I was shocked at how refreshing it was just to be in a different place. It had its problems. I was quarantined, so I couldn't leave the room very easily, and I was getting a little bored in there. But it was really nice just to be in a different chair talking to patients. So sometimes you change things up a bit and you will find it refreshing. My husband and son have been out working on the fence on our back 40, our acreage in the back. And I noticed today it got hot. And instead, my husband decided they would clean out the garage. Now, my husband will take on giant projects, which I'm not that person. I work in my 15-minute increments. They did a phenomenal job, and he's kind of excited about doing fence posts again tomorrow. If anyone can get excited about doing fence posts, I say, parenthetically. But there you go. So you change things up. You can change things up on the job. You can change things up in your family. Change the way you cook. Change the menu a little bit. Cook a new thing, whatever. But it's changing things up that keeps us from getting stale. That doing a little variety. I hate to quote old maxims. No, I don't. I do it all the time. Variety is the spice of life. A little spice is good for you. Oh, shoot. Well, last Thursday I ran again. Wow, what a relief. My foot is finally healed. It's not all bloody and horrible looking. I'm still wondering if I fractured or dislocated my little toe because it's just a little achy. However, strangely, my running doesn't set that off because when I run, I do a thing called pronating. That is, I start on the outside edge of my feet, and as I go forward, my feet roll in towards the middle. This seems to miss my small toes. Talk about weird. So running doesn't bother my feet at all. Strangely, the running shoes don't bother me. If I wear them to hike around LA, as I did last Saturday when I did a very, very brief solo train ride to Glendale, just to get out, boy, that did hurt my feet. That my normal walking shoes that are running shoes that have been retired from running, not working that well. But when I run in my running shoes, that's great. Doesn't hurt my feet at all. Doesn't hurt the outer edge of my right foot where I injured myself. So you can see my glorious banner of running 1.65 miles on the 24th last Thursday. And I did not get out again. When did I next get out? I think on like the 27th. Anyway, I ran again today. And it was really nice. I ran on Monday. I ran today. It was just really, really nice to be out there. It is starting to get hot, even in the early mornings here. Well, August is coming. What can I say? Meanwhile, I continue to carry the link to where you can donate your used running shoes instead of just letting them go, onto a trash heap somewhere. And you can see my upcoming races. I am prepping for the Mountain Gallop on August 16th up in Tehachapi. I'm not real excited about it. I need to get myself a little more, psyched up for it, but it'll happen when it happens. In the meantime, in the fluffy books, I finished listening to My Calamity Jane, which I was listening to in dribs and drabs. Like I said, it wasn't my absolute favorite. I also finished listening to My Imaginary Mary at night. Now, the Lady Jane series is followed by the Mary series, and so I finished the 3 Lady Janes. And I have to say, My Lady Jane, like I said, too tragic for me, but really quite well written and a good story. And then there's My Imaginary Jane, which was a beautiful send-up. Really good of Jane Eyre. Just so funny and spot on. And I think it's because they had their narrative interwoven with the narrative of the novel, and it really gave them a firm structure. My Calamity Jane kind of wandered all over the place. It's long, but it has a rewarding ending. So My Imaginary Mary, which is the second of the Mary series, and I cannot remember the name of the first, but you'll be hearing it soon. My Imaginary Mary felt a lot to me like My Calamity Jane. It felt like it got kind of out of control in terms of the narrative. However, it is clever, it was fun, it was interesting. The Imaginary Mary there is what would have happened if Ada Lovelace, the computer genius who basically did the first programming we know of for her mentor's project, and she's also the daughter of Lord Byron, but frankly, I think her contribution was greater because I'm just that way. But what would happen if Ada Lovelace met Mary Shelley, the daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft and the now rather forgotten John Godwin, who wrote sort of philosophical novels. But, Mary Wollstonecraft, yeah, the Defense of Women. I'm saying that name wrong. At any rate, So Mary Shelley, of course, marries Percy Bysshe Shelley, and she's the genius who creates science fiction. She creates the novel Frankenstein. She just tells a ghost story when she and Shelley are staying at Byron's place on Lake Geneva. And they all start telling ghost stories. And to give Percy Bysshe Shelley credit, he really encouraged her to publish hers because it was really wild. And of course, it's what we know as Frankenstein. And again, she kind of single-handedly creates science fiction when she does this and doesn't get the credit. So you take these two women who really don't get the credit for the enormous contributions they made, and you say, what if they met each other? Because they were kind of around at the same times. So that's where my imaginary Mary goes. It's a fun idea. I don't like the torture scene. There is a brief scene where I guess the authors thought they had to impress on us what electricity does to a human body. I did not like it. It is brief, but it really turned me off. However, now at night I am listening to Can't Spell Treason Without T. This is a sapphic novel. Pull out your dictionaries, kids. It's really fun. It's what happens when a very world-famous mage, a woman, decides that she wants to retire with her lover, who is a palace guard of a totally psychopathic queen. And of course, when they do this, the palace guard is declared treasonous, and that's where this all comes from. And they retire and they go to the outback, and they decide to start a bookstore tea room. Now, this has often been compared to the very famous Legends and Lattes, which I have not read yet, but is now sitting on my electronic book list. Stop comparing it. Just read it on its own. It's a lot of fun. The first half of it is really about how did we get there and how did we make our tea room. And there's all this stuff building in the background. I enjoy it. It is not graphic. The sex is not at all graphic. It's just hinted at, really. But it's a fun book. And when I get the Legends and Lattes, I'll let you know. I'm biased. Can't Spell Treason Without T. It's a 4-book series. The 4th book, I think, is coming out in the beginning of August. It's the Tomes and Tea series. The author, I believe, is Rebecca Thorne. It's woman-authored, so I just feel that I identify with it more than I'm probably going to identify with Legends and Lattes. But they're roughly along the same lines. You know, adventuring heroes, really from a D&D type of reality, decide to retire and have a quiet life. And it's not like this has never been done before, but apparently now the way to do it involves serving coffee or tea. But Can't Spell Treason Without T, link in the show notes, I believe to Abe's Books version. I'm enjoying it. It's just light and it's fun. Something I really like. Oh, I found more Moomins. Yes, little did I know that one of the original presses from Britain published 2 volumes of what they call Moomin Adventures. They're the comic strips that appeared in a London newspaper, I believe in the 60s. And I've since read up more, because you may remember that I mentioned that I got Volume 2 accidentally at Barnes & Noble. So Volume 1 is on its way. I can't remember which used bookstore I got it from. Upcycle. Okay. And the comic strips are by Tove Jansson, who was the creator of the Moomins. I thought it was her son, Lars Jansson. No, it's her brother. And the information I read said, oh, you can't tell their styles apart. I can. You really can. But apparently when they were originally published, the readers said they couldn't. The point is they're always about love and tolerance. But the parts that I've seen so far by the brother are more directly and identifiably political, like really clear in their intention. That is fine. The Moomins are really a great vehicle for that kind of messaging. But they're fun, and now I've got Volume 1 and Volume 2, and there's a link in the show notes that I hope is taking you to a used bookstore version. On the side, I have to say, you may remember, I got the Ninja Creamy ice cream maker so that I could turn keto chow, which is keto friendly, into ice cream. Well, I've gone insane. I bought a ton of these single packet keto chows to try all these different flavors. I got all the fruit flavors I could find. Tonight, my son and I enjoyed raspberry pie. I also prepped strawberry cream for tomorrow. I had 2 packets of that, so that let me fill 2 of my ice cream pint containers and put them in the freezer. We agree that the best flavor so far has been chocolate malt keto chow, which is totally forgettable as a shake and is insanely delicious as ice cream. I think our second runner-up, probably the chocolate keto chow. It always seems to come out more creamy than any other type. I know not why. But I have to say, major points to the banana. I've had the vanilla, meh. It's not quite vanilla flavored. You will be able to say this is not normal vanilla ice cream. So I wouldn't give it a lot of points, although if you're craving it and you're keto like me, sure. The raspberry was really nice. The strawberry cream comes out bright pink. And I had a little left over, so I drank it hot out of the blender because I was melting the butter in it. It was very good. So, these are really nice. So I have to say, it's me. I'm pigging out on the keto chow ice cream made with the Ninja Creamy. The real guilty pleasure. 1 normal keto chow milkshake makes a pint of ice cream. That's 1 meal in keto chow terms, that you make a shake and you drink it. Or you can make it into ice cream and now you have a pint of ice cream. Oh my goodness, it's good. It's really, really good. It's low carb. The truth of it is, because it is fairly processed, I wouldn't call it truly keto, but it is keto in its low carb values and it does have electrolytes in it. So I have been crazy on that. At any rate, I am continuing to mount back episodes on Proton. So far this month, I have episodes 141 to 180 of the original series of this podcast. They are up for the month of July, and I realize I have to go and compress the ones for the next 40 and put them up. But hopefully I will have them up this weekend sometime. Put a lid on it. Well, another tea tasting. I thought I'd already given you this, the Champs-Élysées Herbal, but apparently I didn't. I can't find it in the show notes if I did. Now, this is part of my thing about get all the tea you can in the summer, all the herbal tea, and make it as iced tea. So this is absolutely one of my absolute favorite things to do. Yes, the repetitive school of redundancy is absolutely my absolute. All right. Ignoring that and rolling right along. In this, I'm mangling the French. I read French. I can understand spoken French. I don't speak it. So it's Champs-Élysées, I think is how you would say it, herbal. This is rooibos tea, hibiscus, dried cherries, rose hips, apple pieces, cherry, almond, and vanilla essences. Sounds great, right? No, it just came out a little weird for me. I'm drinking it, but it's not something I'm going to repeat. Would this be good as a hot tea? I suspect it would. I suspect this would really shine as a hot tea. Why? Well, a few reasons. One is it's rooibos, so it's going to come out tasting sort of like a black tea, but no caffeine. Second, you can hear there's a lot of tang in there. The hibiscus, dried cherry, rose hips, even apple. Now they're trying to mellow it out, I would suspect, with the cherry, almond, and vanilla essences. And I just think this one probably comes across a lot better hot. I also think it probably smells divine hot. Why do I not know? All summer long I make sun tea in jars. I just put the tea in a strainer, in a jar, in the fridge with a lot of water in it. So I don't know how this smells. So my guess here is that the Champs-Élysées is going to be much better as a hot tea. I can't say I warmly recommend it as an iced tea. It's not its strong point, but you can tell there's some good flavor there. In my family life, we've gone back to zoodles. If you don't know zoodles, it is get some zucchini while they're wildly in season, cheap and all over the place, and get a zoodle cutting machine. That is a zucchini machine that you can run your zucchini through, and it will make it into noodles. Zoodles are a really nice summer substitute for pasta, particularly if you're a low-carb eater like me. They go really well. The only thing with zoodles, you steam them, and then you want to kind of press them. We actually put them between 2 cutting boards. They're very watery because they are zucchini after all. So after you steam them, they're soft, but they're kind of watery. Do not steam them into mush, would be my advice. It only takes a couple minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes over boiling water to get what you want. And then do press them dry in some way or pat them with paper towels, whatever you want to try, because it will water down any sauce you put on it. But we have been zoodling wildly, and it's been great. Also, my husband discovered, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous episode somewhere, but probably like 100 episodes back, my good old husband discovered there is a meat grinder attachment for our KitchenMaid blender. First of all, I'm a huge fan of my KitchenMaid. I used it to process tomatoes when I was making homemade tomato sauce. And of course, I use it as a highly powerful blender. I used it for making bread dough in the days when I could eat that. There is nothing like a KitchenMaid. It's just a super, super mixer. I think I just called it a blender. Well, it's a mixer. Okay, guys, I don't know if I'm going to erase that. At any rate, the other great thing about a KitchenMaid is the accessories. And my husband just showed up one day with a meat grinder. And I thought, oh, I don't know, because I was envisioning raw meat. Oh, no. My husband takes any leftover meat we have and throws it in there together, grinds it out, and cooks it and puts it in a sauce over pasta or over other things. He's really inventive with this. It is disgustingly easy to clean. That really surprised me how easy it is to work with. So I'm just going to say there's a picture there of the attachment. It hangs off the top of the KitchenMaid mixer, and it's a wonderful thing to have. If you are doing any kind of canning, freezing, food prepping stuff, I really can't recommend a KitchenMaid mixer enough. Meanwhile, yes, I'm still carrying the electrolyte drink, the Ketorade. Yes, I am. And we're on to the blather. Well, first, yes, I do continue the boycotts. And having said that, what did I do last Sunday? I took the train and the buses and the underground, actually. Although when you do it the way I did it, it's above the ground from LA Union Station up to the Pasadena Convention Center. You go from LA Union above ground up like 8 stops and you end up at the Del Mar Station, which is a nice stop. And you're easy 5 minutes walk from the convention center, although there is some steep uphill very, very briefly at one point. At any rate, I wanted to go to the Bead and Design Show. This was a weird experience, but I kind of knew what it would be like. Imagine Stitches West with beads. So they say it's wholesale and all that, but really they were just selling to the beaders. Most of the customers were my age. That is, late 50s up to 70. I'm somewhere in there, just guess. And it was fun. It was just really fun. The whole convention center, the A and B hall was opened up. And they just had this floor full of vendors. I took pictures for inspiration because I'm toying with teaching myself how to make resin things. I don't know if there's really a big market for it, but it interests me because you see all these resin things with dried flowers in them. And I thought, oh, you could do so much more than that. And I don't think that's been tapped properly. So I thought I would go and just take pictures of them and also see what people are charging for them. And we'll see. You can get a fairly cheap resin starter kit in various craft stores. So I am toying with that. You can also see that there were people there with clothing for sale, really beautiful tie-dyed stuff with just plain gauze underneath it, but just really nice work. There were people using 3D printers to make these beautiful cards. You can see one with a Japanese image on it. Well, it's a stand-up 3D figure of a cherry blossom over a little shrine. Anyway, they also had a lot of quack medical people, which these things have. I don't know why. I had a really good time. I went up there early. I left the house easily. I think I was on the 9:30? No, the 10:15 train. And I got there fairly early, wandered around, and then took a bus across to the Glendale Galleria, where I made the fatal mistake of stopping at BJ's on I think it's Brandon Broadway in Glendale. The music was so loud, I literally had to put my earphones in to noise block it. And the service, my lunch came lukewarm. And the guys were creepy. The waiters were creepy. They were my age, and they kept sort of like getting too close. So it was a very weird experience. But I went down to the Galleria and just strolled through it to get outside, took a bus down to the train station and caught the bus and caught the train from Glendale, where the bus drops you right in front of the train. It was a really nice day. The tickets were online for the bead show. They were $8, and they didn't care. If you bought one ticket, you could go any day you wanted. I was looking at the tickets for the cat convention, which was huge last year, but those are $47 a day. So I'm not thrilled. This may be my last Pasadena Convention Center thing. I must say, it's easy to get there. I think I told you this before. It can be a little challenging getting back. You have to leave fairly early to catch the fastest bus out, or you have to take I think it's the A line all the way down to LA Union. You have to sort of backtrack and then go up, whichever train line you're going to use. At any rate, it was a lot of fun, and I got down early. I was going to take the bus that starts in Pasadena. It goes all the way to Los Feliz, and I was going to stop again at the Little Nittery, and just decided I was kind of too done in. By the time I reached Glendale, the bus was very crowded, and I just was ready to get off. It is a long ride to get all the way down to Los Feliz. It's like an hour and 1 minute or something. Okay, now, if you're not local, that was just a meaningless digression. Thank you for your patience. Meanwhile, I continue with the phone numbers for the two LGBTQA plus phone lines, because we're a civilized country. Really, we can be if we try, and we don't go around letting people who are different than we are simply die for that reason. In the meantime, you can see my community resources, the links I use for books, for projects, for techniques, for little toys that go with my knitting, name tags, whatever. You can also see the phone number for the group of USC law students who are helping people not get picked up by ICE when they try to go to immigration court legally and do what they're supposed to do. You can also see the information on the ICE Block app and on a phone line where you can report where ICE is. It also has your rights in case ICE picks you up. I have to say, since they are now picking up everybody because they have quotas, they're not just going after brown people anymore, kids. It's really been interesting. So you should really have a look at this if you're in the LA area, and you should know your rights if you have to deal with ICE. Please keep in mind that they are trying to go into schools, libraries, hospitals. So kids, it's not just about Latino people anymore. Everybody's facing this if they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it makes me sad to say that. Meanwhile, you can see on the calendar the events for fiber lovers in the Santa Clarita Valley, and you can see my race calendar, and the last thing, of course, CFR 11. Minerva. Boy, this is a fast episode. Yeah, it has to be, though. Minerva gets the last word. You can see her looking pleased with herself because what she's saying is, I won. Yes, I bought not too expensive cat food that was high quality. It was just pate in broth, fish, chicken, turkey. She ate one can and said, nope, I want to eat my garbage kibble full of grain and bad processed additives. She won. I mean, she just went on strike. She was getting on my bedside table, my dresser, in the middle of the night. It's higher than my bed is, and knocking things onto my face because she was so mad, because she was hungry and she didn't have her kibble. So there's that lovely fishy stuff that any normal cat would love. Minerva, no. She won. Right now, what I've done is I've drastically reduced her kibble. It is a little dangerous at night, I gotta say. I'm getting very careful about what I leave on that bedside dresser because she will get up there to punish me. She jumps on the bed first to let me know what she's doing. She jumps right next to me on the bed. Then she jumps up and prowls around to build the suspense. So Minerva's last word, I won. Sheer stubbornness just basically got me the thing I want, which is the unhealthy food. However, in reduced quantities, because after all, even though Minerva feels she won, I am the one with the opposable thumbs in the family, which means she has to negotiate with me or I just don't open those food bags. So there. Meanwhile, Minerva and I, of course, are locked in this idiotic dispute because we are a community. Like everybody, we are a community. When we work for the good of the community, we are working for the good of the individual. Everybody can win. Having said that, everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.